Welcome to Slovenia.
Here be dragons. Welcome to the Postojna Caves in Slovenia. As the legend goes, the lands of Slovenia were plagued by a blight of evil dragons back in the day who would attack people, eat people and their livestock, and basically plague the villages in the area. One day the Pilka River flooded and killed all the bad dragons in the land, leaving only one dragon, and he was a friendly dragon. His name was Yami, and he lived down here in this cave system. And Yami really was a friendly little creature who wanted to play with the human children, but everyone was terrified of dragons, so no one would play with him. So eventually down here in the cave systems, he made friends with a cave beetle and some spiders and some of the other animals that live down here in the caves. And eventually they kind of brought him into their group and they asked him for a favour. They were protecting pearls down here in the cave because there was also a race of goblins down here, as you might expect. We are in a cave system, of course there's goblins. One day they asked Yami to look after their pearl, the cave dwellers. And so he did, but unfortunately he fell asleep, and whilst he was asleep a goblin turned up and tried to take one of those pearls away. But he caught him just in time, snatched him up, and the goblin said, "Please let me go, here's your pearl back. If you let me go, I'll grant you a wish." And so Yami wished to be a human so that he could go and play with the other children. The goblin said, "Yes, that's fine, that will be your wish," but he didn't really know how to perform this kind of magic, so he gave it his best shot. Yami fell into a pool inside the cave. His friend the cave beetle ran over, looked down and saw him, a little dragon with human skin. And those dragons still live down here into the caves today. The baby dragons, they look like an axolotl, and people say they are the tiny little dragon. So here in Ljubljana they have their own legends with the history of the city and dragons. In Greek mythology, Jason and the Argonauts actually sailed down the Danube, up the Sava and here to Ljubljana after they stole the golden fleece and were being chased by King Aeetes, who was obviously Medea's father, who had come with Jason and the Argonauts. Now, when they got to this part of the river at Ljubljana, basically there's loads of limestone that makes the river go underground a bunch of times, so they had to take their boat apart and carry it on their shoulders through what used to be a swamp basically. And so when they were doing that, it was turning to winter, so they thought, right, well, we're going to have to stop here for a little while. They built themselves some little house on stilts in the marsh, but then something quite terrifying happened. It turned out they'd set up their camp where a dragon lived, and one day the dragon came out of the water and basically breathed fire all over the camp, killed a bunch of the men, destroyed their homes, stuff like that. So Medea and Jason hunted this beast down. Medea used her witchcraft to send the dragon to sleep. She gave Jason a chain. He used that chain to wrap the mouth of the dragon. Then they loaded the dragon's nostrils with rocks, and those rocks stopped it being able to breathe fire. So when it tried to, all the fire went back inwards and the dragon exploded. Now, after they killed the monster, Jason continued his journey, but some of his men stayed here and, according to legend, founded the city of Ljubljana.